Hello, everybody. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Monique, and I'm on a financial health journey to create an inheritance for the generations to come. I want to do that through consistency and discipline. Today is Thursday, May the 16th. You will see this video on Friday, May the 17th. It's in reference to a budget with me for the paycheck I will receive on that Friday, the 17th, and it will run from May 17th through May the 30th. I'd like to thank everybody who's liked or commented, and especially those that have chosen to subscribe to my channel. I truly started this as a way to hold myself accountable, but I understand, recognize, and appreciate the community as a whole. So if you're rocking with me on this journey, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't made up your mind yet, sit with me for a spell. At the end of this video, if you find that this is content that's enjoyable or valuable, please feel free to subscribe. So let's get into it. Okay, so you will see a few things in here that you've not seen before. Let me first say that I am newly married. Yay! Mother of 3. With some bonus babies as well. And I want to be careful about how much I share overall, just in general for privacy reasons. And then of course, you know, everybody's comfort level is a little bit different. So I'm dealing with a blended family here, but I will say that I am working towards having things incorporated in here that reflect not just my finances, but also my sweet's finances as well. Not to the level of sharing his income. He's not comfortable with that. But you will see where there are things in here that you haven't seen before. And so we'll start to storm through all of that. I would also like to say I am currently in the Hello Gorgeous Volume 3 for this particular budget sheet or form that you're seeing. So it looks a little bit different. And I'll zoom in. Looks a little bit different than the ones that I've used before. And you're going to see other sheets. You're going to see different digital planning sheets. You're going to see, sometimes you might see this monthly planner, which I talked about on a previous video that we're going to start to use on that one. Sometimes you're going to see just a basic piece of notebook paper and a pen. All of this is going to be, we're going to storm for a while before we norm it out, just to use some business terms in the in the context of this video. So it's going to take a minute for us to figure out what works best, because there needs to be full transparency on everything that we're doing. And that doesn't have anything to do with trust. So I don't want y'all to think that this is a trust issue that we're talking about, but it is a collaboration, a communication, kind of thing that we're trying to work through. And so what I have found most is that as long as you're compromising, you're communicating, and you're collaborating, things will be successful. And so the way to do that is to have full transparency, because when people are in the dark about what things are going on, or when you just assume someone else has it and they'll take care of it. For some people that works. For us, it doesn't. We've been independently managing our finances very well. So the thought is, now that we're together, we need to, it's not going to be independent anymore. So we just need to make sure that everybody understands how we're moving and playing, especially as we combine money, combine accounts, and combine other things as well. So you're going to see, again, said all of that to say you're going to see a lot of storming before you see some norming when it comes to the budget overall. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So for my bills account, my expectation is I'll have $1175 deposited there. Variable account of $530. $500 of that really set aside specifically for variable expenses. And that's giving myself $250 every week. My weeks run from a Friday to the next Thursday. And so I allot myself $250 for that. That will not change. That amount doesn't change. How it's being allocated will. And then it's an extra $30 that I get every paycheck due to an increase that I saw several weeks ago. So I always have that amount separated out from the $500, because I can use that for savings challenges or sinking funds, etc. So it's just my way of understanding what that money can be used for, to make sure that the $500 is always there. Okay. rollover from my last paycheck budget closeout. I was under budget by $196. So we're rolling that over, and that money is in that bills account. And then I had a cash rollover, and it was not $50. It was 60, right? I'm going to go back and look, but yes, that should have been $40 from groceries, $20 from dining out. So there was a $60 rollover for that. All right, so those are all the income sources that I expect. 1175, 530, 196, and 60 equals $1,961 is what I'm working with. All right, living expenses is next. So here's where things start to budget out differently. So I typically have given myself $120 for groceries. And that's backing out to about 80 now, because he will be contributing, my sweets will be contributing to groceries as well. So I'm backing that out to $80 a week. 40 still for gas. For my vehicle. He will handle his own gas for his travels. He will be traveling at least 3 days out of the week to South Carolina, where he is originally from. So although he's moving in here and we're going to keep this home, he's also going to have a home in South Carolina that he already has, because he will need to work from there for a few days a week, because all of his clientele is there. So he's an entrepreneur, he's a chef, he got a lot of things going on, but his base is there, and it would be too difficult to try and start that from scratch in Georgia. So he's going to keep that home and then also continue to work out of South Carolina. So for right now, he'll keep that home there, and all of the expenses, mortgage, utilities will come out of a separate account that we will deem the South Carolina account. So we'll have a Georgia account for expenses done here, South Carolina account for expense done there. Eventually, what we'd like to see is that would be converted into some type of rental property, Airbnb, etc. And so it'll be our four-way into handling or being property owners, and investments and etc. So that's where we are with that. So you won't see that gas change. Home, I'm bumping that up a little bit more because we will have more home expenses. He will contribute to that as well. Just not sure exactly how much for either of those, for groceries or for home, but we know that there will be contributions made on his side as well. Dining out, contributions will be made, but I am bumping that up a little bit as well. So although I saved money here in groceries, I am allocating some of that money here for these other expenses. And we're going to treat these variable expenses a little bit differently, but we'll talk about that in the weeks to come. I'm still giving myself $20 a week, correct? $20 a week. And then I've added supplements here that we will contribute $20 a week for prescriptions, or really more so for supplements themselves. In fact, I just ordered some supplements for him. So there's $15 that we're already kind of technically taking from this $20. So you'll see me cash stuff only $5 this week for this when we do the cash stuffing. And then we'll, go back up to the $20 here unless I have to order things because they're already running out. My hope is that we'll get this bumped up before any other supplements have to be paid for, so that there's a buffer already there that we're pulling from. But when you add all of those together, so the 80 plus the 40 plus 40 plus 30 plus 20, that still equals $250. So you times that times 2 for 2 weeks, and that will be your $500. Alrighty. Happiness looks gorgeous on me. That should say me. So anyway, next for savings. So I am still going to give $50 a week towards the Monday Mini Challenge, $35 now towards subscriptions. So this was one of the categories that is going to be added in that it did not have before as a sinking fund. We're starting with giving that $30 every paycheck period for me. he will also contribute to that as he can for the variable expenses. And when I say as he can, it's just because, again, we're trying to manage two homes in two different states at the same time. So not sure how that will look as far as his contribution to the Georgia home or Georgia property, because at the end of the day, I've been handling it, by myself. I've been self-sufficient. It's not that he's not going to contribute. We're just not sure how much. And so I'm starting this because I feel like I will have the room to do that right now, especially as I go into June, where my check goes back to looking the way that it typically looks. I am dealing with that 25 to 30% payroll deduction right now, but it will be over the first check of June. So I know that I can confidently and comfortably contribute that $35 towards that subscription. So that's what I'm going to do. With that said, this is considering all of the subscriptions that are yearly. That's all, not the ones that we pay monthly. So I have to incorporate those monthly ones in this as well. And I'm also going to look at which ones I can move of mine that are monthly but could be yearly. For example, Ring that I have is just $10 a month, but I could pay $100 for the year. So I am looking at that one. I'm also looking at some other ones as well. Now, the key to this, though, is that a lot of the subscriptions that I have are free. So my HBO Max that I have, it's free because I get it through AT&T, my internet service. It was a part of the benefits package for that. The Disney, Hulu, and ESPN that I have, it's free because I have... it comes free with Verizon as a part of the benefits package. So at the end of the day, he may end up switching over and not having Disney, for example. He pays for that a year, yearly. And his kids have, my bonus kids, our kids have access to that. He may just move them over to my free plan, give them that username and password for them to use. And then that's a bill we don't have to worry about. We're still working through that. That's what I mean by storming things out. We recognize that all of this couldn't be done at once. We're trying to take our time to make sure we're doing it right. And we're handling it in a very methodical way. So those subscriptions right now is just considering anything yearly that he has that translates to about $70 a month that needs to be saved so that all of those yearly subscriptions can be paid. That's about $35 bi-weekly. So that's what we have there. Clothing. I'm going to give $15 to my personal clothing envelope, $15 to my personal binder social envelope to beef those back up. I spent all of that money that I had in both of those categories. So I'm trying to beef those back up. So I'm specifically saying here exactly which ones I'm going to contribute to. And then my family binder overall, I'm going to contribute $25, which is pretty much $5 for each of the envelopes that I have. So when you add all of that together, that equals $190. All right, and then bills and subscriptions. So tithes, pet insurance, and car insurance automatically come out of my paycheck. Lawn Love, so lawn care, that will come out. Now, I just went ahead and factored in the... because it's usually $65 plus whatever taxes and fees that are associated. So about $70 every 2 weeks. But I do give them a little small tip. I didn't factor it in, but I ended up giving it to them anyway the last paycheck cycle. So I went ahead and just added that in at $75. Spotify. Now I'm leaving Spotify on here right now. This is one of the changes we've already made. He has Spotify. And my daughter, Corinne, has Spotify as well. And so with that, we could find a duo plan. So instead of paying $11 for him, $11 for Corinne, we can do a Spotify duo plan for $14.99. So we went ahead and signed up for it. But I don't know that I did it right because there are a lot of instructions around this particular thing with Spotify that you're supposed to cancel your individual one first and then you sign up for duo, but do it after your initial cycle is over. It was a lot of instructions. So we didn't follow any of those instructions. We probably should have. So I'm not sure if that $11 is going to come out on the 19th. She did get an email. My daughter did get an email that says you're part of a duo plan. Here you go, click on this link and now you'll be connected. She did all of that. But when I go in under her account, it still shows the individual account as the type of plan that she has. So I won't know for sure until the 19th to see if that money comes out. If so, we're going to have to call them or contact customer support to get that figured out. So I'm going to leave the $11 here for right now, but that might show as 0 as an actual. Car loan 503, Kohl's. Now, Kohl's is interesting. I made a $114 payment on Kohl's to pay off a purchase that I made where I used the card to get the 30% discount, but I had the cash and I went ahead and put the cash in the bank and went ahead and made a payment. So right now it shows 0 for Kohl's. If I finish this budget and I don't have a lot of wiggle room, I might remove this Kohl's line and add it to the next paycheck to give myself a little bit more space for this particular paycheck cycle. I don't know. We'll see. I still want to make this payment because I want to make sure I don't have any additional interest that's charged. But at the end of the day, it's not mandatory. Right now, it shows that there's 0 due for that bill. Green Sky, I've got $90. OneDrive, $2. Gas South, $109. Apple Care, $4. Water. Now, water, I went online. I noticed that the bill says that it was due on May the 31st. So that's what I wrote down, May the 31st. And then this morning, I checked my accounts. I always check all of them every morning anyway. And I noticed that they have already done the auto draft for the amount that was due, which was $16. And they did that on the 15th. So although the bill says 31st, it looks like they pulled the money the middle of the month. So I'm going to need to make an adjustment of where I have this listed on the calendar because they do pull it sooner than the actual due date. And then we have Ring, and then I'm contributing $200 towards the mortgage. As you know, I get paid 3 times in May, so I split up my mortgage to fall into all 3 of the paycheck cycles so that I could stretch out that large amount so it didn't feel overbearing in any one paycheck for this month. All right, so when we add all of that together, did I add it together already? No. That would have saved a lot of time. 75, 11, 503, 85, 92, 102, 4, 16, 10, 200. That equals $1,098. That's a lot of money, honey. $1,098. Okay. All right, so let's write all of those amounts out and see where we are. Income was $1,961. Savings was $190. Living expenses was $500. Bills and subscriptions was $1,098. Let's see what our difference is. 1961 minus 190 minus 500 minus 1098 equals, it says that I'm under budget by $173. And if that's the case and that's real, then I'm happy. All right, so it says that we're under budget by 173. So I will leave, I think what we talked about is I will leave Kohl's in here at $85 and just go ahead and take care of that now. And I think we are good. All right, next, I did go ahead and work out what it looks like to have the cash breakout as far as the amounts are concerned, because I've messed up twice, right? So being a cash stuffer is not easy. It's not for the weak. All right. So I did go ahead and work this out because my sweet said that he would go to the bank for me when we need to instead of me having to worry about it, which really is wonderful for me. I'm going to come out just a little bit so you can see the full screen, which is really wonderful for me. But I need to make sure that I'm a lot more diligent or detailed about how I write everything out to make sure that he's clear on exactly what needs to happen. So for groceries, I did $80. So that'll be 4 20s. Home, 2 20s for $40. Dining out, a 20 and a 10. For myself, a 20. Corinne, you'll notice, is not here. I'm leaving her both the 10 that I typically give her on Cash App and the 10 that I have in cash. She said she would prefer to just have it all on Cash App, so that's what I'm going to do. So hers is just going to be completely online. Gas as well is going to be completely online also, so you won't see that breakdown here because I'm leaving that money in the bank. Subscriptions is $35, $20, $10, and $5. All of my family binder, $5, $5, $10, $15, $20 is here. Each of them a $5 bill. You might have noticed I said $25 for that, but we'll talk about that in a second. So 20 of it is documented here, $5 a piece. My clothing envelope, I want to do 15 for that, 10 and 5, and social envelope, 15 for that, 10 and 5. So when I added those all up, there were 9 20s. So that's going to be a total of $180. There were 4 10s. That's a total of 40. There were 7 5s. That's a total of 35. And there weren't any 1s, so that's a 0. So that should be 180 plus 40 plus 35 equals $255 that I'm actually getting out of the bank. And then if I add all of these together on the side, that is going to be 80 plus 40 plus 30, 20, 35, 5, 10, 15, 20, 20, and then 15 and 15 is 30. That's 255. So it's adds right going down and it adds right going across. So that's $255. Okay. So the reason why it was only $255 is because I have $60 in cash. $60 I saved from the variable expenses last week, 40 from groceries, 20 from dining out. I already have that cash. I wanted to account for that. I have a lot of ones in there. So I went ahead in my mini Monday. I usually have $50 in cash, and you'll notice that that's two 5s and 40 1s, and so that's the $50. So that was 50 taken care of. I also had another 10 in cash, so I pulled out the $5 that was remaining for supplements after I ordered the supplements for sweets. So there's still $5 left. I'm gonna use that cash that I have to stuff that. And then Little Bean, which is usually in my family binder and included up here with auntie's babies and family fun, etc., was going to get $5. And so I have that $5 in cash already as well. So that all of this in gray is cash I already have. I have it documented here so that I can account for that money. And that was $60. So I have $255 I'm going to get from the bank plus the $60 that I have in cash. So I'll be cash stuffing $315 in that next video. So that's how I handle that. If I've got cash on hand, let's just go ahead and mark that out, have it in gray, have it separated out so that I understand exactly the amount that needs to come out of the bank. I can write that up for him when he goes to the bank for me. All right, and then that is it. So this is the budget. We are under budget for right now. We've incorporated the supplements and the subscriptions, which are the two key things that I wanted to do. I will take a look for that Spotify on the 19th to see if that amount comes out. And I am going to be able to go ahead and cover the Kohl's now as a part of this. Even though I had already made one payment, we'll go ahead and make another one. And I need to adjust my water so that it now shows mid-month is when it should come out versus the end of the month. All right, I think those are all of the things. Thank you guys. It's going to be a little bit, as I work through this, and I'll be talking a lot just because I have to talk through how we're trying to combine everything together. I don't know if this information will help anybody who's trying to work through things, or maybe it'll just inspire you or give you some ideas on as you are, melding, gelding, putting together your budget along with your partners, how that might look. All right, so we are good to go. Thanks everybody for your time. You guys have a good one.